100 people were supposed to move to Mars in 2023, but they never made it.
Meet the Mars 100.
Vying to take the next giant leap forward in space exploration.
Mars One invites you to join us.
This is the story of the Mars One project. So the year is 2012.
Oppan Gangnam Style.
Hey, I just met you.
Not now, not ever.
Volunteer as tribute.
In that very same year, a Dutch company emerged to announce the Mars One project with the promise of sending humans to Mars by 2023.
In that year, the first group of 4 humans will land on Mars.
It was led by this guy, Bas Lansdorp.
The search for people from all nations who want to settle on Mars.
Mars One's grand plan was to send 100 humans to colonize and live on Mars for the rest of their lives with no plan of return to Earth. This all while establishing a self-sustaining colony. All of this was to be funded by private investors.
No political mumbo-jumbo, no taxpayers' money will be involved.
Mars One was not an aerospace company and never manufactured any tech or equipment for the mission. Lansdorp claimed that everything he needed was already on the market from suppliers like SpaceX. Applications opened to the public in 2013, which included video submissions.
I want to leave my mark in society, giving true purpose to my life.
I make a perfect candidate because I believe in Mars One's mission and I want to share it with all of humanity.
To be the first person to set foot on another planet. To inspire and be the eyes and ears of our species as we push back the darkness a little more.
I spoke with Josh Richards, an Australian Mars One applicant.
But you've given up a lot for this. I understand you've given up the love of your life.
This was very real. A lot of candidates got accused of not really thinking of the consequences, but to be shortlisted, you had to have gone through a lot. This was like me making an active decision to leave the planet.
The mission was meant to be partly funded by a TV show that would document everything from the recruitment selection process, which featured group challenges and the preparation, as well as the launch and the settlement.
We will finance this mission by creating the biggest media event ever around it. Everybody in the world can see everything that will happen in the preparations and on Mars.
Big Brother will pale in comparison. The whole world will be watching and experience this journey.
Mars One was in talks with the OG Big Brother creators, Endemol, with the idea that the show would include live broadcasts to Earth, but talks reportedly broke down a year later, and instead the Mars One show would be more like a documentary. After its announcement, Lansdorp went on Reddit to do Ask Me Anythings.
Endless. Tell me why this isn't a scam.
Can you provide any
on
proof?
head silly.
The project went dark for a period, but resurfaced in 2015 to announce that 100 lucky applicants had been chosen to train for the mission. And there was some serious hype around these chosen people.
Meet Mead McCormick. She's a filmmaker in Los Angeles and one of the top 100 finalists for the Mars One mission.
Just 100 candidates now remain in a competition for a seat on a one-way trip to the Red Planet.
But cracks were beginning to show. Just a year prior, MIT published a scathing report titled Mars One and Done, claiming settlers would suffocate and die within 68 days on Mars. They also wrote that Lansdorp's idea to grow food on Mars would produce unsafe levels of oxygen that would also lead to suffocation. And they certainly weren't the only experts raising some serious concerns. Some scientists described it as a suicide mission, with former astronaut Ulrich Walter saying he estimated a 30% probability of reaching Mars alive.
Even if the rocket exploded on the launch pad, we still would have succeeded. We still would have put ourselves out there and said, hey, this is something that's worth doing. This is something worth dying for.
But Richards told me he was beginning to doubt the project would go ahead in 2016 after Mars One went quiet after the 100 finalists were selected.
Further past 2016, the more the doubts sort of went, hey, maybe this particular project isn't going to happen.
Eventually, applicants received an email from Lansdorp informing them that they weren't going to Mars.
I hung on to Mars One specifically for a really long time. I suppose that hope that we would get news, that we would get updates, maybe stopped me doing things here on Earth that I wanted to do.
And another Mars One applicant, Joseph Roach, who's also an astrophysicist and former NASA employee, presented at TEDx promoting the project in 2014.
So to have the chance to be part of a scientific endeavour that could one day help us to understand our place in the universe a little bit better is an opportunity that I could never turn down.
But just a year later, he told Medium he was seriously concerned about Mars One's budget size and that the time frame was, let's just say, ambitious. And then there's the financial component. While Lansdorp claimed the mission would cost $6 billion for the one-way trip, in 2010, the cost to send humans to Mars was estimated at potentially more than $500 billion. NASA's since published a report in 2016 claiming a similar cost. I spoke to Lansdorp, and he had this to say. Do you think, with the benefit, of course, of hindsight, was that an unrealistic budget?
No, actually, I think if we were doing it today, it could be even less, because you could fit all the hardware for the first crew in a single Starship. I do still believe the budget was realistic.
I spoke with Andrew Dempster, who's the director for the Australian Centre for Space Engineering Research at UNSW, and he told me he didn't believe Mars One would ever happen, but it may have set the stage for future Mars missions.
I don't think it was a particularly credible one, but the fact that it existed as a proposal, it meant that people needed to make concrete criticisms of it, which were useful in developing, the way forward.
Meanwhile, Elon Musk has suggested SpaceX could be sending humans to Mars by 2040, but let's wait and see.